Hey guys, how's it going? It's Woody HD and welcome to something a bit different today. Via Madden 17, we are going to look back, just do a review of my team, the Seattle Seahawks. Getting the win in the wildcard round 26-6 over the Detroit Lions at Centrylink Field. And of course, now we advance to the Divisional Round to take on the Atlanta Falcons at the Georgia Dome, I think next Saturday. This game all about Thomas Rawls. What a night. I think he had the record for postseason rushing yards for the Seahawks. 161 yards on 27 carries. He's got a touchdown as well. 32-yard run as well, of course, which Russell Wilson actually made a block as well. Ran down the sideline and made a block for Thomas Rawls to get some extra yardage. An insane first touchdown of the game. Paul Richardson looked like he might have been pulling the face mask the Lions defender, but it was given a touchdown. They got go in there on the first one. Of course, in the first half, I think 2 3-and-outs for both teams to start the game off. Detroit Lions, a lot of receivers dropping balls on third downs, which really cost them. Second half, it started to get going. Of course, that Richardson touchdown was an amazing game. Another amazing catch late in the game as well. Of course, what about Doug Baldwin and an amazing 42-yard throw from Russell Wilson late in the game to Doug Baldwin, and of course towards the end of the game they were just chewing up the clock. The problem is still, of course, this offensive line, which is really struggling this season. You can see at times how quickly Russell Wilson had to get the ball out of his hands. He only had 2 seconds max at times to get the ball out of his hands, and he did it pretty well, to be fair, at times. But he got sacked, I think, 3 or 4 times. He got sacked, I think, on second and third down on one drive. And that is going to be a big issue if they can't try and solve it, try and improve it. They've looked alright at certain times this season on the offensive line. Certain games, like the Carolina game, of course when they went to New England and beat them, they looked pretty good on the offensive line. But last night, they seemed to really struggle as well on that part of the game. And that was not good, of course. Answer getting 2 sacks on Russell Wilson. Matt Stafford, 205 yards, no touchdowns, 18 out of 32 completions. Their danger man was Zenner, which has come out of nowhere and has done amazing for the Lions over the last few weeks, despite them losing the last 3 games of the regular season. Zenner, catching, running, he made a massive, I think, 17, 18-yard running play on one drive. But the Seahawks defensively did pretty well. Sherman, I think, wasn't even targeted at all throughout the entire game. That shows that they do not want to throw. Stafford didn't want to throw Sherman's direction. I'm pretty sure he only had 1 moment in the game where he made a block in the second half, and that was it. Alex Collins, who's a pretty decent backup, I have to say, for the looks of it, had a good 11-yard catch and run in the second half. And that weird touchdown where Wilson threw it looked like Jermaine Kearse was going to get the touchdown, and then Doug Baldwin got in front of him and nicked it off him. And Kearse was probably thinking, what the hell was going on there? But it didn't matter. I don't think he really cared. It was a touchdown anyway. Obviously, in the first half, as I said, it was 0-0. It wasn't really very exciting. Golden Tate, of course, coming back to Seattle. Only had 1 reception all game. Didn't have a single yard. Jones, I think, had the most receiving yards, 81 yards. 30 yard, the longest. So they couldn't really get going. Of course, they had 2 50-plus field goals from Prater. Those are the only points they got on the board. Hester, of course, punt return, rather. Pretty much every time I think he called for a fair catch. I think he run it once. He's come in, of course, to help them in that respect. Of course, Tyler Lockett usually does that. Of course, out for the season with a broken leg. Earl Thomas out for the season as well. They're 2 big misses. And that's going to be the danger, I think, against Atlanta. Are they going to exploit Seattle in the free safety area behind in the backfield? Because Terrell, he's all right, but he's just not. It's just not the same. When you lose someone of Earl Thomas's quality, it is just not the same. Of course, the Detroit Lions, 9-7-0. Of course, I think they had the record this season for the most comebacks. I think it was like 8 out of 9, 10 games or something. Incredible. And of course, they lost the last 3 games. I think to the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Packers. I think they'll be pretty good again next season. Of course, they still, I don't think, have a main star wide receiver. They've got, of course, Tate and Bolden and Jones, but of course they lost when Megatron retired. Calvin Johnson, he was their main go-to guy at wide receiver. Hauschka, Again, missed. I think it was an extra point. Hit the post. He's missed so many this season. Extra points, field goals. It just doesn't look right this season for Hauska. I don't know what's going on there. He was usually pretty reliable. I think he missed 7 kicks this season, I think, which was a record in the NFL. But if Thomas Rawls could do what he did tonight, of course, we know that that offense of Atlanta is absolutely insane. I think their defense isn't great ranking, but their offense is insane. And if we can shut down Julio Jones, we can stop the run. They're so dangerous going forward. And Seattle's going to be at their best, especially, of course, without Earl Thomas, as I said. But get more receptions to Jimmy Graham. I think he didn't have that many. One day, I think he had 3 receptions, 37 yards. Get more to him, because obviously I think Wilson, Baldwin and Graham are the 2 main targets. And of course, the defence, as I said, next week in the Georgia Dome away to Atlanta with a chance to advance to the NFC Championship game. I don't see why they can't win next week, but they'll have to be a lot better than they were on offense. There's just so many times this season we've seen quick 3 and outs. They really struggle on offense. Of course, Wilson got sacked a few times, as I said, and he's having to get the ball out incredibly quickly. But if we can get a running game going, we've been missing, I think it was 18 different running backs they've used this season. I think it's a record since like 1950 or something, which is insane. Of course, I think hopefully CJ Procise might be back next week, which would be really good. Collins, Procise and Rawls. I think they're going to have Rawls as the starting running back and use the other 2 then when needed on certain plays. But I don't see why we can't win next week, but we've got to be much better. You know, I think we got 1 sack maybe last night. We didn't get to Stafford quickly enough. We've got to improve there. We need to be very, very alert, as I said, in the Earl Thomas area of the field, in the backfield, because that's going to be a real danger. They're going to throw it to Julio Jones all day long next week. And of course, they've got to stop Freeman, etc. on the run. If they can get a few sacks on Ryan, actually do very well offensively, which they haven't done in a while, I don't see why they can't win, but I'm not sure yet. It'll be a fascinating game. Of course, it's a replay from earlier in the season when the Seahawks beat the Falcons at Centrylink Field. It is going to be a replay, but we get a win here, 26-6. Pretty comfortable win in the end. A lot of things to improve on, but hopefully we can improve vastly going in to the next game up against Atlanta, of course, in the Divisional Round. I think it was the Divisional Round we went out last year, and of course we were 31-0 down, was it last year, against the Carolina Panthers, came back 31-24, run out of time, and we can't afford to do that next week, go behind a lot early, because it's happened a few times, of course, against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, against the San Francisco 49ers, against the Cardinals the other week. We went behind early and had to play catch-up. We can't afford to do that against Atlanta, especially with them at home. Matt Ryan, of course, big contender for MVP. Probably, it's difficult to call MVP at the moment. Rodgers, Brady, Matt Ryan, probably those 3. There's a few others. Ezekiel Elliott, of course, Prescott, but those are the main 3. Matt Ryan, a big contender for MVP. Can we stop him? Slow down the offense. What we want to do is get the offense as little amount of time on the field as possible next week for the Falcons, because they can do some serious damage. Of course, I think they put 38 points on the Saints in the last game of the season. And of course, the few blips we had cost us the 2nd seed. We've had to go through all 3 games and then the Super Bowl, of course. Falcons are going to be rested. They've had a bye. They're at home. I think this is the only home game we get through the playoffs. And of course, this one then, if we win this one on to the NFC Championship game, who the opponent's going to be there, we don't know, obviously, yet. There's a lot of games still to go, but hopefully we can improve for next week. A lot of things to improve on, but a decent all-round game here. Putting away, stopping the Detroit Lions from making any real play. I think they had 1 play in the second period when they made like a 20-yard gain up the sideline, but that was about it. But hopefully next week, as I said, we can get a win. We do win 26-6 at home to the Detroit Lions, and now it's on to the Divisional Round away to Atlanta next Saturday. Guys, thank you for watching. I've been Woody HD. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.